You guys know that some companies are now offering unlimited time off? Like literally, like you can go in. There's no like you got 2 weeks vacation, 3 weeks vacation, 3 sick days, 5. It's basically it's unlimited.
Right.
Right. You want them? No problem. Right. We're not counting. What do you guys think about that?
Don't be fooled.
It's a trap.
Don't be fooled by that. It's very tempting. It sounds great on paper, but that's not actually how it works. Typically, and if you do the research, typically when you hear unlimited vacation, they usually cap it at 3 to 6 weeks. So it's actually not unlimited. And also studies find that when a company has unlimited, and it was popular with startups, and the reason they did that was because they didn't have a lot of financing. So staff having earned vacation is actually a liability to companies, right? So if you quit and you didn't take your vacation, they're going to have to pay you out because you earned that vacation. If you're working for a startup and you have unlimited vacation and you work there for a year because you're trying to get the company up and going and you didn't have time to take vacation and you quit, they don't owe you anything. They don't owe you for that time, for that vacation time. Also, studies find that employees who actually had unlimited vacation actually didn't take their vacation because there's this pressure like, well, we're all working so hard.
Right.
How can you possibly take, 3 weeks off when we have so much to do? And it's usually startups that offer unlimited vacation time. So it sounds great on paper, and you still have to ask for the vacation just like you would when you have negotiated however many weeks of vacation you're entitled to, and it still has to be approved. So I think it sounds great, but I personally would rather give me my 4 weeks vacation.
Right.
I know this is the time I'm entitled to, and you're going to have to figure out a way for me to take that vacation because you're going to have to pay me out come end of the year if it was too busy for you not to give me the time to take that vacation.
Interesting. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think, personally, I've never had any experience working for or having a client that offered unlimited paid time, but I would imagine, that might be a format that is enticing for companies that are very project oriented. So there's not the punching in, punching out type of jobs that you couldn't really offer that kind of a benefit for. But there again, to Keisha's point, I could see it being very misleading because you could have projects that because of the nature of the project, you don't have time to take vacation, right? So it sounds good to get as high quality as possible talent in the door, but in terms of actually,
it's almost like parenting, where it's like there's no limit on how many vacation you can take, but can you actually take vacation as a parent? You know what I mean? As a parent,
right, from
your children. You can't, right?
Yeah.
There's no like law that says, you're only entitled to this many days, right? But if you're worked so much or you're always needed, I guess you can't really take any time off or you have limited number of days you can take off. What do you think, Kurt? You said it was a trap.
I think it is a trap. And I say that because I feel like as an employer or as a boss, let's just say, and I have employees and I give them this incentive to say, okay, you now have the ability to take as much time off as you want. So the year goes by and I see 3 out of my 40 employees taking way more time
9
off.
weeks.
Right?
Yeah.
Now it comes time to, okay, I want to make some movements based on where we're going.
Right.
Who am I going to pick?
Of course. Yeah, good point.
So again, I don't know, there needs to be a bit more context. It might be a situation where companies are offering this now because they're having trouble finding talent. So now, it's a situation where they can't offer higher compensation. So they're looking at other ways to entice
people. It's a gimmick, right?
It is a gimmick.
Yeah.
Right. So from that standpoint, I understand what they're trying to do. And again, it's a risk reward take. But I just feel like you're putting yourself in a hole, and it's easy enough for that, manager to come back to you and be like, okay, why didn't I get this position? Well, you weren't here during critical times for this amount of time.
Right.
You could have tried to rearrange something and you didn't, and I see a consistency. Unfortunately, I went with such and such because they're here. Right. And even with a company offering that, it's like, okay, well, what's the day look like? Is it a situation where I'm working 40 hours a week, or is the expectation that I'm going to work 60 hours a week?
It's usually 60.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there.
It's usually 60.
So I'll be asking a lot of questions in that interview.
It's usually 60.
Because what does it look like? Am I expected to work weekends? Do I have a phone I have to answer You know,
Yeah.
there's so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting you mentioned, 𝐇𝐎𝐒, like startups and stuff. I think the company I was looking at was like a startup,
Yeah.
and that's what they did. And I'm like, the first question I asked is like, what if like you take like 6-7 weeks or 8 weeks, right? 'Cause like first answer was like, well, we don't count it. Then like the next words were, well, you know, there were a few people that took advantage of it, and we had to let them go, right?
It's a trap. It's a trap. You just proved it.
That's
proved
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Thank
So, but could you guys work in an environment like, you know, let me ask you two ways. If you were the employer, would you ever adopt it? Not like being
No.
facetious and like being a
No.
gimmick or a scam, but
No.
would you ever, as an employer, offer that?
No.
And then B, if you were an employee, could you thrive in that environment? If it was genuine, if it wasn't like a trap where like, I'm going to really like work these guys 60 hours a week and I'm going to give so much work that they can't even take, you know, 2 days off. If it wasn't a, you know, like a scam, it was genuine, like, you know what, we trust you, you kind of pick the days, we're good. And there's a balance, right? So let's start off with the employer who wants to put their 2 cents in.
If
If
I
you're
was
an
an employer,
employer,
would
would
I-
you ever adopt it?
No, I would not. Only because I know there's always going to be somebody who ruins it for everybody else. And when you're in a management role, it's 80-20, 20% of the people take 80% of your time. And there will be those people who, well, I have unlimited vacation and they don't come to work. And even though it's going to be like, oh, you have to ask to take the time off. I just see it being problematic because there's always 1 or 2 people that will ruin it for everyone. So I would not offer that as an employer. I think I would start off. I don't think any company should be offering 2 weeks vacation now. I think that's ridiculous. I think minimum coming in, you should be getting 15 days vacation, and then, you know, having personal time and a few sick days. So to me, that's an incentive to say that you're a good employer, where you're giving people the time to deal with their personal stuff if they have children, family, whatever. And also, I think having the ability to work from home, which is
Yes.
a earned privilege. So I think there are other ways that you can offer incentives to employee without saying unlimited vacation. And it's, to me, that's more sincere.
How about as an employee? Would you guys be able to work in an environment where it's like unlimited, where it's just trust basis?
If it's a role that I feel like I'm really going to enjoy, I'm going to learn from it, then yes, right? The worst case scenario, if it's a situation where I'm feeling overworked, at that point, I now have a decision to make. Do I want to continue, or is it a situation I have a discussion with my boss, or I look elsewhere? But if initially it looks like a role I'm going to enjoy, I would do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take advantage of it, but that's just me,
Yeah.
because I know what comes
Right.
with it, right?
Yeah.
But again, I think what's changed this too is that we're talking about paid time, days off. I guess we got to relook back at when companies had to deal with COVID, right? That whole 2 weeks
Sure.
on top of vacation. So I don't know if it's a situation where, you know, there's more illnesses and they don't want to prevent other people in the office from getting sick, so they rather somebody else utilize the benefits that way. But again, I don't know.
I think in my case, I would love a role like that. You know, in the last few years, I've been able to do a lot of, you know, travel while working. I think it's like based on a situation where, you know, I intend to go to Dubai for 3 weeks and maybe 4. You know, for most jobs, they're going to give you, you know, 4 weeks away from the office, right? But I'm going to be able to swing it with my company just because they have that trust. And it's not like there's probably no day or no 2-3 hours where I would just be MIA, right? I'm always checking my emails, my texts. You know, I might not respond right away, but I know what's going on. And if it's something urgent, I would, within 10-20 minutes, call them back, for example, right? So that's the kind of the give, and the take is that allows me to kind of live life while I'm working and earning.
Right.
So that kind of environment would work for me. Again, I think, you know, some people are like kind of self-starters and like kind of can manage their life and their work, you know, in harmony. A lot of people can't, and they need, okay, I'm off, leave me alone, and I'm on fully. In that kind of environment might not work. But if it's, you know, if you have that kind of self-starter and, okay, I'm always connected kind of mentality, I think you could kind of thrive in that, you know, in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
Well, you see, for me, being a self-starter, I think it would be detrimental to me because I would never want them to think I'm taking advantage and I'm not working.
Right.
So
you'd
I'm
always be
constantly
working.
be working because even when I'm on vacation. So I'm going to be constantly checking because I don't want you to think I'm not doing my job. I'm not grateful that you're giving me unlimited vacation. So for me, knowing myself, it'll be the opposite. Now when I take vacation and I have, 21 days vacation, when I'm on vacation, I am on vacation. I make sure, because I work in a project environment, my vacations planned well in advance. I know what my deliverables are going to be. I make sure there's nothing urgent that's due around that time, and then you are not able to reach me during that week because I need that time. If you want me to be my best,
Right.
there needs to be a time where I need to totally unplug and not be accessible and not be thinking about work, and you're going to get a better a more re-energized version of me when I get back from vacation.
Right.
So